Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Uncovering the Hidden Agendas, a video series dedicated to showing you all how Satan has put his hand of influence on just about every aspect of society. So today we're going to talk about video games. That's right, video games. It's not just music and halftime shows at sports games and movies and TV shows that are promoting satanic agendas. The video game industry is doing the exact same thing. So let's look at that a little bit. Starting with this article. This is a very old article. This is in reference to the PlayStation 1, but it is very mind-blowing and still very relevant to video games in general. Sony Corporation's PSX, or PlayStation Game Console, is among the most popular home game systems in the world. Millions worldwide own and use them daily. Although some groups see them as detrimental to young people's mental development, they are generally perceived as harmless entertainment for the whole family. But are they really so harmless? Everyone is familiar with the old adage, an idle mind is the devil's playground. But how true is this in reality? In the Malleus Maleficarum on the Inquisition, we find that ever and anon the souls of the addled and distracted are the fodder of hell's naughty denizens. If we look deeper, there is actually no end of compelling scientific evidence to support this theory. Meditation has been used since the dawn of civilization by most Eastern cultures as a way of achieving spiritual enlightenment. Most forms of meditation involve remaining physically still and allowing the mind to empty, closing off from one's surroundings. In this way, a state of spiritual transcendence may supposedly be achieved. Closing off from one's surroundings, that made me think of virtual reality where you're closed in. Anyway, just a slight side note there. In fact, in most forms of transcendental meditation, the body assumes a state very similar to sleep. The brain's beta waves reach a peak, and the alpha waves dwindle to almost nothing. At this point, the mind has let down all of its psychic defenses and is highly vulnerable to attack by non-corporeal entities. In this way, one may fall victim to supernatural influence or even demonic possession. In the Middle Ages, there existed a superstitious belief in this nocturnal vulnerability, which was referred to as the terror of the night. The PlayStation gamers unknowingly perhaps adopt a physical and psychic posture akin to certain types of transcendental meditation. The sparrow thumb meditation technique, which has been used by Buddhist monks in Tibet and parts of China since the 12th century, involves gazing fixedly ahead. Sound familiar? The entire body remains completely motionless with the sole exception of the thumbs, which are extended in from the abdomen and moved in a series of rapid, unconscious patterns. The UTHA monks believe that sparrow thumb meditation, if practiced for several hours, is the best way to become completely transcendent. Strangely, the sparrow thumb posture parallels dance movements used by Haiti voodoo cultists as part of rituals in which they claim to become possessed by non-corporeal spirits. In August of 1997, the price of a standard PSX console here in New Zealand was lowered to 230 New Zealand dollars. During the same month, the price of silver dropped to $8.90 an ounce. So a Sony PlayStation was worth the same as approximately 25.8 ounces of silver. According to the research of Leopold Fleischmann, the average weight of the silver shekel used in Judea was exactly 0.86 ounces. This means that the Sony PlayStation today costs the equivalent of 30 pieces of silver, the very amount Judas Iscariot was paid to betray our Lord Jesus Christ. Why are PlayStation discs black? Because they echo the black host, consecrated with human blood, used in satanic black mass the world over. During these masses, a prayer is usually spoken in honor of Asmodai or Belial, in a twisted parody of the Catholic Eucharist. This litany will always be accompanied by the satanic salute, which is performed with the left hand, the deliberate opposite of genuflection. The black litany begins, "By my left hand I move you, and by my words I abjure you, O dark Lord and Master. By my left hand I move you." Anyone who was seen or used or been used by a PlayStation can tell you that the directional or movement controls are operated with the left hand. As we have seen, much of Satanist practice is based on Catholic doctrine. Sometimes this can involve cunning use of word alteration, such as reversal and anagrams. Closer inspection of certain words suggests that Sony had more than fun and games on their minds when they conceived this unholy device. By rearranging the letters in Sony PlayStation, we get Yon Satanist Ploy, a hidden warning. Similarly, PlayStation is an anagram of Satan Polity, a blatant reference to Jean-Baptiste d'Arentois' feared infernal conspiracy. In occult practice, signs and symbols have always been very important. Arcane inscriptions are part of most black magic rituals. If we look closely at the four symbols of PlayStation, the circle, the square, the triangle, and the cross, we see echoes of some sinister occult sigils. For example, could the innocent-looking purple cross be, apart from a fiendishly subtle allusion to the inverted Christian cross, a clever variation on the symbol of Yog-Sothoth, the master of the gate to chaos? Also, by combining the circle, blood red of course, and the cross, we can easily get the personal sigil of Shub-Niggurath, the great black goat of the woods. Already we have found in the symbolism of PlayStation references to two of the great old ones, ancient occult gods. This is just barely scratching the surface, yet how can even this much be mere coincidence? Ain't that right? That's way too many connections to be coincidences. That's something, huh? Sparrow thumb meditation. Please remember that. And staying in one place, all right? Those ideas will come back. Let's look at a few more articles. Buyer beware, satanic-themed video games concern parents. Even the most hardcore gamers are sounding the alarm about the rise in the number of satanically themed video games that target God and Christianity, invite players to make pacts with the devil, and elevate Satan to hero status. This has been going on for the last 10 years, but especially in the most recent games, said Lance Christian, 32, of Alton, Illinois, who has been an avid gamer for most of his life. For instance, in one game, players kill the archangels Michael, Gabriel, and Raphael before going on to destroy God. Another game requires players to sell their soul to the devil and rewards them for killing unbaptized infants. All of these games seem to have one central theme. God is the enemy and the devil is the hero, and they do nothing to hide it. One game guide glibly states, the Judeo-Christian God is portrayed as the prominent villain in the series. This is just the tip of the iceberg in what I have discovered, Mr. Christian said. I feel that the devil has a new tool to work with in this age of technology, and the majority of adults in a position of responsibility are left in the dark. His list of the most egregious games includes Tecmo's Deception, Invitation to Darkness for PlayStation, where players make an unholy pact and sell their soul to Satan in exchange for power, with the object of the game being to ensure the resurrection of Satan and obtain his power. Only rated T for teens. Nocturne for PlayStation 2, a game in which the hero, a demon, destroys the three archangels Saint Michael, Gabriel, and Raphael, and goes on to destroy God. Shadow Hearts for PlayStation 2. The hero uses his power to intercept and destroy God and save the world. Also rated T. Dragon's Age Origins for PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360. The game revolves around the story of God going mad and cursing the world. A witch attacks believers and players can have sex with her in a pagan act called blood magic so she can give birth to a god. Another scenario allows players to have sex with a demon in exchange for a boy's soul. Other games with satanic themes are Dante's Inferno, Guitar Hero, Devil Summoner, Kudelka, Trapped, Bayonetta, and Darksiders. Game publishers are cashing in on the satanic anti-Catholic and the general anti-religion content themes and using them as a draw for buyers. For instance, Electronic Arts launched a catchy ad campaign to sell its new hell-inspired game Dante's Inferno. Buyers interested in the game were greeted at the site by a phony new game called Mass We Pray. Black Mass? ? When they clicked on the link, they were declared a heretic and rerouted to Dante's Inferno. After ordering, fans were offered a Number of the Beast discount of, there it is again, $6.66. The same game was advertised during the Super Bowl with the teaser, Hell Awaits. Game publishers such as Electronic Arts and Midway Games have not responded to the bulletin's request for comment. Of course not. Even though most of these video games are rated by the Entertainment Software Rating Board as M for mature audiences, many are rated T for teens. But regardless of the ratings, they can easily fall into the hands of children from older siblings or parents, Mr. Christian says, and points to a recent YouTube video of an 8-year-old playing a popular adult satanic-themed game. Paul Burry, editor of Family Friendly Gaming, said the envelope is definitely being pushed with these games. Role-playing games have progressively gotten worse over the years. It is difficult to find a role-playing game that is not T. There have been some M-rated ones where all kinds of decadence is allowed. Another problem is that the ESRB has been shifting its standards, much like movie rating bureaus have been doing. Compared to movies in the past, they are now allowing more for a PG rating. I have noticed the same thing from the ESRB. Games that, in the opinion of family-friendly gaming, that should receive an M rating are getting a T rating. They are letting more through. Elliot Mizrachi, spokesman for the ESRB, says the rating system focuses on violence, language, and sexuality, and is based on what the average consumer's expectations would be about content. The ratings are only intended to be a guide, he said, but if someone has sensitivities about particular content, the first step would be to check the rating summaries on our website, which provide a very detailed description of the content that factored into the rating. So now we're seeing that the ratings you see on games, not accurate at all. All right, let's move on. PlayStation 5, one of our newest consoles. How are they promoting this satanic agenda? Over the years, video games have evolved from being these 16-bit short games that were easily beat in only a matter of a few hours to massive 4K movie-like games that can take days or even weeks to complete. On the surface, video games appear to be simply harmless and just downright fun. But when you begin to dig a little deeper, you start to find out that there is a secret satanic dark side to the gaming industry. As we enter into the next generation of gaming with the recent release of the Xbox Series X and the highly anticipated PlayStation 5, we must be vigilant to not allow this new technology to impose on any of our rights or to even manipulate and program our minds. Alright, blah, blah, blah. Let's see some games he talks about. Spider-Man. One of the first games shown at the Sony PlayStation 5 event was Spider-Man Miles Morales. Marvel's Spider-Man has for many years been used to promote occult symbolism and themes. In one version of Spider-Man, he's literally fighting against the Illuminati New World Order. But if it's one thing Spider-Man is really known for, it's convincing kids that the devil hand sign is cool. And with Miles Morales, it's no different. This game literally opens up with both Spider-Mans taking what I would consider a satanic oath with the devil horn hand sign. Destruction All-Stars, another game at the event called Destruction All-Stars, shows you the 66 symbolism. 66, most likely referring to the year the Church of Satan was founded, 1966. Along with the 666 hand sign. Ghostwire Tokyo. A game called Ghostwire Tokyo is full of demonic spirits and entities that have apparently taken over Tokyo. I don't know much about this game, but just by watching the trailer, it is clearly demonic in nature. Resident Evil Village. Even Resident Evil 8, which is called Resident Evil Village, is a very demonic game. You can say that it has always been in a way, as the game normally centers around zombies, but now Resident Evil isn't really about zombies anymore. This game now seems to focus on the paranormal, like ghosts, demonic spirits and entities, and even demonic possession. Alright, so that's Sony. Let's look at Nintendo a little bit. Nintendo is highly Masonic, or at least into some weird occult stuff. Mario 3 might be the one you think of, where there is a checkered floor and 3 sixes or spirals in the clouds. Mario himself represents the initiate, going through various temples and trials to get more powerful. He has an M for Mason on his forehead, and he is dressed in red, white, and blue, which are very Masonic colors. The same thing is true for Zelda. The third eye symbolism, especially in the latest Zelda, is off the charts. Mario is based on Popeye, who, like Mario, eats something to become super or superior. In the esoteric circles, this is apotheosis, or becoming godly through ingesting something. The fact that Mario eats mushrooms is clearly a reference to psychedelics. Mario is often seen going to Egypt and through the pyramids. There's a lot more that could be said about Mario. For instance, he goes to the underworld a lot, something other Nintendo games play with too, like the game Splatoon, about a race of genetically engineered animal-human hybrids who were created underground by a mad scientist. Looking at Nintendo's games like Zelda, it becomes impossible to ignore the magical and occult references. Nintendo is an old company, and they started making playing cards, which themselves are based on tarot, a magical system of divination. Bowser was originally supposed to be a bull, which is why he has horns. This might be a reference to Moloch, a Babylonian bull god they used to sacrifice children to. My goodness. Children are essentially sacrificing their childhoods to these phantoms on a screen. Pokemon is another blatant one. It basically teaches kids to summon demonic entities, train, and battle with them. It also teaches alchemical magic and how the elements work. Pokemon cards are a kind of magical ritual when you play with them. This kind of training demons to do your bidding is a very old idea and common practice in occult circles. Check out the game Astral Chain, a game only on Nintendo, which is all about capturing, taming, training, and using demons. Also check out the new Mario Tennis. It's so demonic, it's crazy. I just wanted to play tennis, but instead I'm battling some purple demonic entity in an Egyptian temple as the first level. It's crazy. Let's look at Pokemon a little more. The entertainment industry is rife with corrupting influences that force the occult and the anti-Christian upon the children of the world. One such influence is Pokemon, or pocket monsters, which is notorious for incorporating Eastern mysticism and witchcraft into deceptively cute and cuddly satanic creatures. While the Pokemon craze is nowhere near as strong as it used to be, the unnatural ways in which devilish creatures like Pikachu and Jigglypuff seize the hearts and minds of little children is a clear sign of the devil's handiwork. Pokemon in general are purveyors of supernatural abilities. They conjure fire, water, thunderstorms, and other phenomena that go against God. Many Pokemon take on vile forms that the Bible clearly warns against. For example, Ekans, backwards for snake, is a serpent Pokemon, and Charizard and Dragonite are dragons. The Bible clearly delineates that these two kinds of creatures are surrogates of evil, and God-fearing Christians should thus avoid them at all costs. It is terrifying to think that children around the world gladly play with creatures associated with the devil every day. The traits and characteristics Pokemon possess can be just as satanic as Pokemon themselves. Take the psychic Pokemon, for instance. Now you may be thinking, surely this popular, seemingly innocent children's game doesn't discuss the practice of back-alley cults and devil worshippers. This is unfortunately the case. One concerned mother recently overheard her son telling a friend that he would use his psychic powers against his friend's Pokemon while playing with their trading cards. Statements like these are proof that the sinister creators of Pokemon are attempting to condition the world's children with the occult practice of psychic powers. Perhaps the most threatening of the psychic Pokemon are Abra, Kadabra, and Alakazam. These names should sound familiar. They are classic incantations uttered by those who participate in witchcraft. Images of Kadabra even feature several symbols associated with the occult, like a pentagram printed on its forehead and the unholy triple S motif on its stomach. In some media, Kadabra even appears with its 3 fingers raised in a satanic salute. The Eastern mysticism of the Japanese has caused them to incorporate satanic symbols into children's characters in an attempt to pollute their minds. What's more, these three sinister Pokemon evolve into one another by spontaneously changing physical forms. That this evolution is clearly shape-shifting, another trait commonly associated with witchcraft. The world of Pokemon wouldn't be beyond redemption if the people who inhabited it possessed biblical morals, but this is sadly not the case. Gary, the childhood friend and rival of the main character, is mean, self-centered, and cruel. Team Rocket members, Jesse and James, are thieves, criminals, stuck up, and even cross-dress on occasion. Brock, a close friend and companion of the main character, constantly pursues women and can be described as sex-crazed. Do you want your children to emulate the cross-dressing nymphomaniacs of the Pokemon universe? Of course not. Yet these moral-lacking characters make appearance in nearly every game and episode of this obviously evil franchise. While some might say the ways in which the characters of the Pokemon universe continuously travel around the world in their misguided attempt to catch 'em all is reminiscent of Moses leading the Jewish people through the deserts of Egypt for 4 decades, I disagree. The search for supernatural power through Pokemon is far from the divine biblical journeys where closeness to God, not association with 150 evil creatures, is the ultimate goal. In short, Pokemon promote the occult instead of proper biblical values and should thus be destroyed. Take the time to educate your children about what is right, that Pokemon are agents of the devil, and that glory lies with God, not the staging of brawls between monsters. Tell them that the power Pokemon possess have one intention, to keep innocent, God-fearing children from knowing Him and experiencing His benevolent plan for their life. If they walk with God, they will understand. If they do not, seize their poisonous Pokemon paraphernalia and burn it. Hopefully they will come to see their sins and repent. Pretty packed stuff, huh? Kids playing these games that are promoting satanic agendas, satanic rituals. Alright, so let's wrap this video up by seeing some direct examples of satanic influence. Alright, here we go. Check this out. The Microsoft Live event in 2014. What's that at the bottom? Freemason Eye. Here are a few of many games where Satan appears as a character. Alright. Main antagonist. Green-haired demon. Final boss. In the roguelike game The Binding of Isaac, you make a deal with him, sacrificing some of your health in exchange for items in devil rooms. Alright, main antagonist, bird-like creature. Alright. This one down here, Lucifer and Satan appear as separate characters. Alright. But wait, there's more. Notice how he often has different names. Lucif, Loki. Like they're trying to hide it or something like that. Lucifel. Guitar Hero. Lucifer is shown as a manager for the player's band. It is later revealed that the band inadvertently sold their souls to him. Even in music video games. It's crazy. Classical Red Demon, Secret Boss, Final Boss, Assist character, a playable character in defense of the agents. Lucifer appears in the game Helltaker as the CEO of Hell. So I'm sure this isn't a conclusive list, but already that's quite a few. Let me point out one specific game. BDSM, Big Drunk Satanic Massacre. This was released a couple years ago. Alright. And in this game, oh, wait a minute. You guys see that upside down pentagram? Alright. Right there, we're already seeing symbolism. But in this game specifically, you get to play as Lu, Satan's son. The game itself takes place in hell, where the main hero, Lou, is to find milk and rescue the hottest mistress from the clutches of a fat clown. The game consists of 4 levels or chapters representing different areas of hell, such as the hellish Big Whack fast food cafe, skeleton slums, and the red light district. So in this one, we don't just have Lucifer as a character. The gamer is playing as Lucifer. And the game takes place in hell. But this stuff is for kids, right? Come on now. Doom Eternal. That's another game I want to point out. First of all, the title, Doom Eternal. What does that sound like? Hell, right? Come on now. And look at this. Very recent. Like a few days ago. Doom Eternal's big free 6.66 update lands in 5 days. Come on now. That number is all over the place. It is not subtle anymore. Alright, here's a few examples here of the red versus blue theme that we've been talking about since episode 1. Promoted in quite a few games, as you see here. Also, symbols are used, as we saw earlier with BDSM. And here's another example of a satanic symbol. Somebody in the credits chose to use the image for sulfur, or one of the satanic crosses that we talked about in episode 2. So now we're going to look at satanic and pagan influences on video game brands and companies. According to the ancient Mesopotamian tablets, the Anunnaki god credited with the creation of humankind was called Ea, which means the house of water in Sumerian. He was also known by the title Enki, which means Lord of the Earth in Sumerian. Alright, so Enki, also known as EA. Does EA sound familiar? Electronic Arts, EA Sports. Once I made that connection, I never saw this company the same again. And you see they're using that red-blue symbolism. So, again, too many coincidences to be a coincidence. Alright? DS, as pronounced in Latin, the goddess of the day. It's probably the inspiration for the Nintendo DS, popular handheld video game that is still around. We, a Lakota deity, powerful spirit, solar spirit associated with the American bison. His wife is the lunar goddess Hanwi. But Wii, what does that sound like? The Nintendo Wii. Another connection to a god. Speaking of the Wii, here is a very fatal example of how video games can influence someone's life. This woman on the left, Jennifer Lee Strange, lost her life because of Nintendo Wii. She was in a contest, Hold Your Wii for a Wii, sponsored by a radio station. They wanted to see how much water people could drink without having to go to the bathroom. And of course, they kept drinking water until there was a winner. So, not only did she lose the Wii in the contest, she lost her life. So what happened to her was water intoxication, also called hyponatremia. All right, when you have a large quantity of water in your body, because a large percentage of our body weight is water anyway. So this contest wasn't a good idea in the first place. But yeah, very sad story. The Masonic ballot box. This is what is used by Freemasons to vote for or against potential initiates to the lodge or to Freemasonry. But to me, that has a very close resemblance to the GameCube. You see the hook at the back, and also that circle in the middle of the square. Pretty strong resemblance there. Let's look at the cube a little more. What's the significance of the cube in Satanism and paganism, all these things we've been talking about? The Kabbalah of mysticism or Masonry comes from Kabbalah, or cube god, around which people gather and ceremonially walk in circles. Thus it can be said that they are circling the square. Masons are also constantly referring to circling the square and squaring the circle. For instance, this is why a boxing match is fought for rounds in the ring, but is actually a four-sided square arena with corners. The Freemasonic G symbol within a compass and T-square symbolizes this as well. Just as people circle around their cube god Kaaba, so the Masons use a compass square around their G. So, squaring the circle. It looks like this too, right? Got the circle inside of a square. And also the G in that logo. Looks like a Freemason G to me. Alright, moving on. Atar, an ancient god associated with the planet Venus, worshipped as a god of war. Well, add a syllable to that, you've got Atari, one of the premier video game consoles. Alright, and let's look at Zen a little bit. Buddhists do not believe in a personal God or in a divine being that reigns on the universe. Zen Buddhism does not have any worshiping, praying, or praising of a divine being. Zen, like some other Buddhist traditions, is trying to stay true to the original teaching of the Buddha, which lays emphasis on the practice of meditation and not on rituals and theoretical concepts. So guess what? Zen has also been used in video games. This is a more recent invention, Zen console gaming, where you connect your controller of whatever video game console you have to this device. But why call it Zen? It's back to that very first article we talked about. Sitting still, meditation, transcendentalism. That's what video games are promoting. I don't care what the video game's about, what the video game's rated, they all have this same message of Zen and meditation. So there you have it. That is an overview of the true agendas of video games. And video games start with children, right? As soon as you're 6, 7, 8, you want a video game, you want a PlayStation, you want an Xbox. But with these ideas being promoted, these beliefs, these rituals, these overall concepts, not good at all. So I hope this was helpful. That first article alone convinced me enough that I don't need to be playing video games anymore. And I haven't played for quite a while now. So I hope this video encourages you to do the same. I'll upload a part 2 in the next video, which talks some more about video games, and we'll probably get into more specific examples there. So until then, be vigilant, my friends.